Hello and welcome to A Well-Tempered Hacker. I'm Anders Brownworth. Today we're going to look at Bitcoin and we're going to look at multi-signature addresses. These are addresses that require more than one signature to sign, and they work well for storing some Bitcoin because all of the power to spend is not in just one key. You could make a wallet, for example. What we'll do here is make a wallet that requires 2 out of 3 keys to sign. So you might save one in a safe somewhere, put one somewhere else with another safe, or give it to a friend, and then a third one, keep it online or something like that, and require at least 2 of those to spend the money in the wallet. So it's a little bit more secure than a standard address. So we're going to take a look at how to build this. The problem is you can't really do this very easily with a client. I think there's one right now out there, the Armory client, that's capable of doing this. But for the most part, they're not really. There's not really software to support this. So we're going to do this on the command line with a Bitcoin D command, and we're going to look at the different RPC commands necessary to get this done. So let's get started. So what we're going to do is create 3 private keys, any 2 of which will be able to spend from the address that we're going to make here. So there are a variety of ways to make private keys. They're essentially just random numbers. Computers that are deterministic systems are terrible at coming up with random numbers. So you'll notice on paper wallet sites and whatnot, they have a thing where you move your mouse and you generate some randomness, etc. I actually have a hardware random number generator, which I'll go into in a separate video, but I wrote a little program. We can go into this, and I wrote this. Very basically, it's some code that I will post in a GitHub repo, and what you do is just say app, and it gives you a private key in hex and wallet import format. So this is, this would be 64 characters, so 2 each, so 32 bytes of data, of random data. So let's do that again. Oops. Let's try to do this. Oops. Node app. And then that's 1 key, there's another key, and there's another key, and they all look relatively different and good. So let's copy that, and what we're going to do is I'm going to pop that into a notes file. I like to keep track of what I'm doing because it's very easy to lose money doing this if you don't do it right. So there are 3 keys. And we'll send them to the 3 ends of the earth. But before we do so, let's make an address that requires at least 2 of those to be in existence before, or two of those to sign a transaction before it happens. So in order to do that, I actually have this other thing I made called public key generator. It's a little C app that I will also post. And if you happen to, we can just take a look at the source here. So what this is going to do is pull in whatever I say. This is hacked up from somebody else's code. It just exercises OpenSSL's ECDSA routines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pop in these hex values. And we get this guy. Okay, so this is a point on that curve, and this is another one. We'll do this guy. And we get this. This is all just prepping for what we're going to need to talk to the Bitcoin client directly. It's going to want things in certain formats. Okay, so the last one we've got is this guy. We'll copy that, and we get that. So that's nice. Keep a record of that. Okay, good. Now, let's make an address that requires at least 2 of these private keys in order to spend from that address. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to go back. I'm going to say Bitcoin D. And what we're going to do is we're going to send RPC commands to the running Bitcoin D on this system. So the command I'm going to say is create multisig, and that's going to ask for at least 2 of the addresses, and I'm going to describe them this way. You have to be very careful. This is asking for JSON, and so you'll notice all these quotes and stuff I'm making. I'm doing that so that I don't make a mistake. So we got that guy, and then we got this guy, and then we've got this guy. Okay, so now, hopefully, if I've done all of this correctly, I will get a multisig address. All right, so it says my address here. Notice it starts with a 3. That's pay-to-script hash address. So here's our address. This is great, right? Okay, it's very important. Actually, you know what? I'm going to copy all of this because it also has this thing called redeem script. And we are going to need that, not too surprisingly, to redeem the coins. So let's go back. Okay, now we would take our 3 different keys and send them to the far sides of the universe, and this address is what we will push money into. So let's go do that. So let's take a quick jaunt over here to Circle, and I'll sign in. Okay, so here we are at Circle, and I'm going to say send money to what address? Well, let's get this guy, right? Copy. And we'll paste that guy in there, and I'm going to do, let's do 0.001 Bitcoin, all of 58 cents, not much. And then I have to authenticate. All right, we just sent some money to this address. Well, that's interesting. Let's go to blockchain and search for that. So blockchain.info. Here we go. So we have some unconfirmed transaction right now. Over time, it'll get confirmed. And the interesting thing I need here is this, the transaction ID. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to save that in my little notes file. So this is transaction ID of our spend. So we spent from Circle, and we now have that money in this. That money was sent to us via this transaction. All right, so this transaction, in order to now spend the money that's in this wallet, what we're going to need to do is take a look at that transaction. So we're going to say Bitcoin D get raw transaction, and then we're going to send it that number. I'm going to add a 1 here, so it gives it the answer to us in JSON. Okay, let's take a look at this. So up at the top, so there's some hex values, and here's the transaction ID again, and then there's a V in and a V out. All right, this is the coin coming in, and these are our outputs that we have to spend. At this point, these aren't spent. And so you'll notice 2 things. One is 0.001, that was the amount that I sent in. But then what in the world is this, right? 0089, something else, right? Well, this is the change transaction. That's going back to Circle into some address. So I'm only left with this one, and this output happens to be numbered 0. So this is the one we're going to spend. This is the one that we have to spend. I'm just going to copy this guy, and this is V out number 0. Sometimes it's not number 0. paste that guy in there. Okay. So the important things that we've got here are the script public key. We're going to come back to this, and it comes in a couple of different formats. Here's the hex version. We'll use that. Good to know. So we just keep a copy of that. Okay, so now what we need to do is we've looked at the transaction and we know what outputs we've got. Let's create a raw transaction that attempts to spend that. So we'll say Bitcoin D, create raw transaction, and then there's going to be some JSON and then some more JSON. So let's fill in this some more JSON over here. Okay, this is going to be where it's going to go. So I want to, first of all, I'm just going to say 0.0009. Okay, that's not quite 0.001. I'm leaving 0.0001 for fees. Okay, so this is not, I'm not going to spend all the everything. So we're going to leave some as fees. I'm going to go back to circle here, and I'm going to say, get me an address. Here's an address. I'm going to send this back to myself. Probably not a bad idea. So here's an address. So that's going to send that back to me. Thank you very much. Okay, so where are we going to get this from? Well, we are going to say there is an array here, and there's one element. It is, we have a TXID. Be careful, no spaces in this stuff. This JSON is very, very finicky. Okay, well, what transaction ID? Well, our input is going to come from the output of this, get raw transaction. This transaction that we made, this was the spend in, right? So we're going to copy that transaction ID. That is this transaction here. Paste that in, and then we have to specify what vout we're going to use, and we were talking about using vout0, and sure enough, here it is. Vout number 0 is the one that has the money that we can spend. So okay, good. We're going to create a raw transaction, and it is going to spend out of V0, which has 001. We're going to end up sending 0009 back to myself, but the last 0001 is left as a fee. All right, so we'll do that. All right, so here's our raw transaction. That's great. Let's copy that. Matter of fact, I'm going to copy this whole thing because it has the address and how we created it and all of that stuff. And I'm going to put this here. Good, just so we keep a record of things. Okay, so now we have a transaction, and this says, spend the money out of this Multisig wallet. So we're going to have to get the all the keys here together. We're going to have to get at least 2 of the keys together. But the interesting thing is we don't actually have to get the keys together. All we need to do is have them sign the transaction. So let's just say we're going to send, this is a completely unsigned transaction at this time, happens to require 2 of the keys. So we send it to one far end of the earth where we have one of the keys in a vault somewhere, hidden away deep in a mine, who knows. And we're going to say Bitcoin D, and then we are going to sign raw transaction. And this is going to get a little bit long over time, you'll see, but it's all very, very doable. So here is the first one. It's going to this will take a couple of lines to get this all in here. Then we're going to put some JSON in here, and we are going to say this is very similar to what you saw before, TXID, and the transaction ID as you saw before. I could probably copy this from above, so I will. Let's going to be this guy, and then I'm going to grab all the way through there. So we're saying we're referencing that transaction again, and we are saying that, but we're going to also add the thing that I was talking about before, this thing called script pub key. Okay, so this is a public key for this script, and what is that? I don't know. Let's go find it. I have it somewhere. So here's the script pub key again for this output 0 here. It comes in a couple of different formats. We're going to take the hex format of that, copy that, and here is our script pub key. That pops in there. And then the last thing we'll need in this is the redeem script. So the redeem script is, we got that when we first created the address. I will remind you, we'll go back here. Here's when we first created the address. There's this really long redeem script here. I'm using Emacs, so there's a little backslash here. So there's going to be a little bit of back and forth copying here. All right, so let's make sure that that goes into quotes. Looks good. So there's the first part of it. And I've got the slash copied. Paste that in there, delete that, okay. And then the last little bit of it right here. And paste that in there. And great. Okay. So now what we have is the beginning of this signed transaction. So we were kind of set it up the way we want it to be signed, but we got to hand it one of the keys, right? So here's one of the keys. All right, we'll go here and let's pick the wallet import format version of the first one. Okay, just pop that guy in there. All right, hit enter. So now we have this transaction here, and you can see the transaction has been updated. It's now not nearly as short as it was. This was it before, and sort of this is what it's become now. You can see it says complete false, so it's not actually completed yet. So this is important. Let's just take this whole thing right here and copy that down so we have it. Great. Now we've got this signed transaction that's come back. It's got one of the signatures. It's not all that it needs. It's sitting around, whatever. Okay, but we have to sign it with another key. All right, so let's do basically the same thing again, but instead of this, let's change this guy here, because our pointer is here, mouse is here. Might as well use it. So let's pick, we'll go back up to the top here. Well, I don't know, let's use the third key here, right? Yeah, because you can use any one, it doesn't matter. Wallet import format of this key. And pop that guy in there. And then, and everything here, so this is, I'm rolling through the script, the redeem script here. It's going to be the same. We're going to use the same redeem script. It's the same script pub key that all comes from the same vout0 of the same transaction. So nothing new there, but right here, I'm going to delete away the old unsigned transaction. That's a transaction that just has no signatures to it. And we're going to copy this guy here and then paste that in. And the magic of computers, that seems to all be there. Okay, now look at that. Now we've got this transaction, but complete is true, because we've given it at all of the requirements that it had. So the last thing we have to do with this guy is broadcast this to the net, right? So let's say Bitcoin D send raw transaction, and then we're just going to send this, and this is for the first time going to send this out to the net. Okay, we got this transaction ID here, Let's see what happened. Okay, on Circle you can see my my receiving 53 cents from an external account. This is it. Here was the original send. It's still sitting there. We look at this guy and you can see that we're receiving payment from that address, so it looks like it worked. So that's it. We've taken a look at how to create a multi-signature wallet, send money into it, and then spend money out of it. Next time we'll take a look at random number generation because, as I said before, that's very important. Happy hacking. We'll catch you next time.